Back on my phone if it went. Cool. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mills. I am just checking if we're live right now. We are. Cool. So I just decided to do this live kind of like on a whim with Hector. We're sorry if you hear the baby. We're going to do it recorded, but I figured if some of you are on right now, let's just have a conversation live so you can ask questions too. So you already know who I am. Hector, if you can introduce yourself, just tell us like who you are, where you're from, and then we'll jump into like your business.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for having me. That's the first key. And I just want to put it out there, hashtag baby friendly. We love babies, okay? I have baby fever over here. I love babies. Yeah. So my name is Hector Carvajal. I am from the Dominican Republic. I was actually born there. And my family and I came to New York City. Do you think? So my family and I came to New York City when I was 8. And I've been in New York City ever since then. I was pretty much raised here. I was educated here. My entire time past 8 years old was here in New York City. And I went to high school here, studied here, went to college where I studied marketing and business. And that's kind of where I launched what is now Carvajal Cafe, the coffee company that I worked for.
Okay.
And it all began in the Dominican Republic where we brew coffee in the country. People harvested. My family never harvested coffee, but that's a part of the culture of where I'm from. And and it just kind of just gravitated throughout my life. It's not like I drank coffee all the time, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it was present in my life. It's in everybody's life.
It's a thing. If you're Dominican, there's coffee there.
It's a thing, it's a social thing as well. Like you go over to people's houses and it's like a greeting of like, welcome to my home. Let me treat you to something. And coffee is one of those things. That's pretty much who I am in a nutshell. There's a lot more to me, but that's the summarized version.
I'm sure. So did you ever live in DR, like as a child and stuff, or would you like go for summers and stuff? I know sometimes that's popular.
Yeah, I would visit from time to time, not as often as most people, because like some people went like every summer for an entire summer. Yeah, that was never me. My parents could never afford it. So I had an experience though where my mom sent me for 6 months. It was when I was in high school and then I wasn't doing so good. So the typical Dominican punishment is like, I'm gonna send you back home and you're gonna struggle. And so then that was the thing for me.
That's so funny. That's awesome. So can you just like tell us a little bit more about your business and like when you started it and like, well, first I want to know like, how did you get the idea to start it? Like, did you see like an area in the market? So why did you start it? And like when and what stages are you at right now?
Yeah, for me, honestly, I just had one really good cup of coffee and I looked at it. I was like, wow, this is not what this is not the type of cup that you're typically used to drinking. It's not diner coffee. It's not McDonald's drive-through coffee. You know what I mean? It was something very different. It was exotic, right? And the person who gave it to me, they were telling me more about it and how it's from Colombia and it was a little bit different. It just kind of inspired this interest of like, oh, there is good coffee. It's like I never knew. I couldn't tell you the difference between a good wine and a bad wine. I mean, maybe I could tell that one is better. But it's not like, oh my God, this is life-changing.
Yeah, this is so much better.
Like, oh my God. So for me, it was like, oh wow, this is good. This is interesting. And then I just got curious about the coffee world. I started studying it. I started Googling things. I started listening to podcasts, watching live shows about coffee, and just kind of immersing myself in the culture and just learning. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. Just got curious and then just started researching it. And then later it became a class project in college. And that's kind of how I arrived at Carvajal Cafe. It was a class project in college.
That's awesome. What like did you? I've seen on your Instagram. I'll type it here for people that you've like done sourcing trips. So can you tell us like what? I don't even know. Like where do you start when I know you're Dominican, so you probably have like some connections there, right? But how do you start when you're like, okay, like Dominican coffee, Colombian coffee, it's better. So like, how do I source it from there to the States? Like, is that a crazy hard process or like, what does it look like for you?
It's pretty hard, especially when you're a small company, when you're a small roaster. Anything when you're a small business is harder for you. anything you want to do is
Right.
harder for you.
Definitely.
So for right, so for me, it was very interesting because I don't move the volume that farmers want me to. Like I don't move like big brand numbers. You know what I mean? I don't do those
Right.
numbers. So it's one of those
No,
things
not
where.
yet.
Thank you, boss. Appreciate it. Talking about coffee. So
Nice.
it's one of those things where I was just looking for ways to not have to cave into the crazy high minimums that I would need to
Right.
bring, like 42,000 pounds. And then rather like, how do I source this coffee directly from this farm, build a transparent
Right.
relationship, and at the same time not break the bank by bringing a crazy
Right.
quantity of coffees that I
Right.
need to meet, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was just really about just immersing myself, like just jump, like just I took a
Yeah.
leap of faith, and it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to this farm. I'm gonna go to the farm.
Awesome.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna immerse myself. I'm gonna learn what they want to teach me, or I'm gonna learn the environment that they want to put me in, and learn coffee growing and coffee harvesting and how that
Right.
works. And just kind of immerse myself into the culture. Like people always tell me, oh, I want to work on Wall Street. And I'm like, maybe you should just go stand on the corner of literally Wall Street and just
Yeah.
talk
See
to
what
people.
happens.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
throw yourself into that environment. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you want to be a banker.
That's
I don't know
awesome.
where the bankers hang out. Like just go to
Yeah.
where the bankers hang out. So for me,
Yeah.
it was like just immerse yourself in the culture, immerse yourself in the environment, and that's where I started going to these farms. And the first one was Colombia, not even DR.
Okay.
So the first one was Colombia, and then it was a sponsored trip through the farm, and they took care of me. They showed me everything. They educated me on how that works over there. Then after that, I took a trip to Dominican Republic the year after, and then they showed me how they do it and how that works. And then at some point, you kind of see the similarities, the differences, and then you kind of build a point of knowledge for yourself. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you throw yourself you do something so often, or you did it so many times, and now it's like you have a knowledge of what's good, what's bad. What should they use? What should they not use? You know, they can show you what they use in their farm. You could do your own research. You could see their process and whatnot.
Right.
So it was
awesome.
one of those things where I just took it into my own hands to just kind of explore, learn, and expand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So that's awesome. So do you still source from multiple countries for the coffee?
Yeah. Right now we source from Colombia, Dominican Republic. Those are I know the farms directly, and I have a relationship with them. Brazilian, I don't have a direct relationship, and Costa Rica, I have an indirect relationship. So it's like I work with the person who brings it here, and then they get it from them, pretty much. Yeah. So some countries are really tough, especially now with COVID. You can't really build relationships with farms because you can't really travel.
Tough.
So it kind of hit the industry in a different way, but at the same time, I think it made the industry think of how it does certain business practices. Like, do we really have to go to these countries? Yeah, visiting farms, to be honest with you, for most coffee companies is more about a marketing standpoint. Like, oh, here we are. This is me and the farmer. And pick video, pick, and then they use it, and then they use it for marketing. But it's not like it's not like they're not gonna send you the coffee. It's not like it's gonna change the quality. They're still producing the same coffee, but it's more of a transparency. Also, on the other side, there's transparency, there's honesty, there's a relationship, and you're showcasing that. Like, this is not just beans. This is bigger than that. We provide jobs. Through our relationship, we're able to provide an economic balance for some people here, and throughout the year, this is where they work at. And then this is because of this job, they're able to provide their family and whatnot. So
and I love that because, like, I mean, I talk about it on the channel sometimes, but like providing jobs for Dominicans in this situation is like, I don't know. It just obviously, like you said, it provides for the whole family more so than, sorry guys, he's of course right now. But it provides for the whole family more so than, you just like going to the grocery store, right? And like buying everything in bulk from the grocery store because it's cheaper, and then bringing it back here and then selling it. Obviously, there's probably more stipulations than that, but you're actually like forming these relationships at the farms, which I think is awesome. So is it just Jarabacoa that you go to there, or are there different farms like throughout the country?
Yeah. Right now, we only go to Jarabacoa and DR, but in the fall, I'm gonna go to the acronym is Sahoma. Sahoma is San Jose de la Mata. So I'll be going there in the fall, and we should be working with this new farm and getting different coffee. So
that's
that should be pretty
awesome.
interesting.
It's beautiful there. I love it.
No, it's
have
really
you?
nice, yeah.
It's amazing. Have you like? Is Constanza in there at all, or is like? I've never been to Constanza somehow, but is like Jarabacoa like the place to get coffee? Do you think as of right now, like that's the best place right now?
Yeah, based on the system they've built, due diligence and history, that's kind of where it's at right now, because they're kind of one of the top, or the only farm from DR that kind of exports specialty coffee beans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in DR the coffee culture died out a little while ago because there was a disease called Roya, Roya, and it was kind of COVID for coffee. It was literally COVID for coffee, and it was killing all the plants. Yeah, it's a very industry thing. Like only the industry knows about that, really.
Right.
Agriculture knows about that.
Right.
But it was kind of like the equivalent of COVID, but for coffee. It was killing plants, drying them out, and then it would go from one tree to the other. It was insane. So.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So sorry, literally every time I go live, I told you like this is when he wants to be like this. So what like does a day-to-day kind of look like for you? Because you're in New York. So how do you like communicate with the farms that you're working with and source? And then also like
typically is my chill day. A typical, if I had to have an average day is like waking up early. I call it CEO time. So like waking up 4:30, 5 in the morning, because I don't really have time for the gym throughout the day. So for me, it's like let me wake up earlier and actually make time for it. So I'll go to the gym. I have a morning routine. I think my morning routine is the only thing that prevents me from burning out, because I've burnt out before. You know what I mean? And I've not felt like doing any type of work. But for me, it's like I have a morning routine where I make my avocado toast, I brew a green smoothie, and then like 30 minutes after that, I'll make a cup of coffee. And that's my and I'm just chilling there. I'm chilling. You could call me. I'm not picking up. I'm like scrolling through Instagram. I'm watching a documentary on Netflix, but it's like me time. Like early in the morning is me time. Like 4:30 in the morning is me time. 5 in the morning is me time. Like I'm just in my own world. Then I'm at the gym by 6. I'm out the gym by 7:15. I'm home by 7:30. Shower, change again. Go about my day. I'm in the office between 8:30 and 9. And then I start my day, my business day, right? And then after that, I'll hop on a meeting. I'll do an interview. Then I'll take a 2-3 hour pause from people, and then just work, do paperwork, do emails, do things that I need to get done on my to-do list. And then I'll do something else, like another Zoom call or something. Then I'll have lunch. Sometimes I forget to have lunch, but I've been very good at keeping my lunch schedule. So this year, it's one of the years where I'm just like, you know what? Sleep is good. Eating clean is good. Your health is wealth, right? And just taking care of myself. I think a lot of people get caught up in the hustle, and then they forget to take care of themselves, because what's the point of building up all this wealth and all this money and all this fame if then you have no health to enjoy it? You know what I'm saying? Then you're just like about to be gone. So that's kind of my routine. And then my days sometimes end 5, sometimes end at 7, sometimes they end at 9. It really depends on the day and how hectic it is. At the end of the day, I still got to get things done, and that's just the bottom line. You know what I mean? Right. I tell my friends sometimes, they're like, yo, we out this weekend. Oh, yo, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, that's cool. But as an entrepreneur, as the founder and owner of something, sometimes you don't have that luxury, because sometimes people clock out at 5, but they have zero responsibilities to their work after that. For us, if the building's on fire, we'll probably get there before the fire department. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you kind of got to take things into your own hands. You're the one responsible for what you started, and you got to just keep it going and flowing.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. How big is your team? Like, it's not just you, right? Like, I know when I'm on your Instagram and stuff, like, you're kind of like the face, right? Because it's your company. But how many people do you have working from you, would you say, like, in the U.S.?
Behind the
like
scenes.
And how many do you in other countries?
So I would say, so we definitely have graphics graphics dash something else, then visuals. Like we have a graphics person, we have a visuals person for like pictures, content, videos, storytelling.
Yeah.
Then I have a assistant. Then I have a roasting assistant. So my roasting assistant and my assistant is kind of the same task. 2 jobs, but same person.
Right.
I have a farmers market personnel. Right now we're gonna have like between 4 to 6 of them for the summer. I'm like losing count. So 2, 4, 6,
No, I mean
7.
yeah, roughly.
Just about by the summertime, we should be at 8 people. In the middle of COVID, we were actually busy because we were doing farmers markets last summer, so we had 7 people. So this summer we should be at 8 to 9 because we're gonna spread it out. You know what I mean? I'm all about having multifaceted people. Like how can we multi? It's not about multitasking. It's about doing multi jobs or like doing. What's the word? I'm trying to think of a word.
Like people who like can wear multiple hats.
Right, like a jack of all trades. Like a jack of all trades. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I do a lot of things in my day, and I really look forward to my team kind of being like that. Like, like I know this is not because I think we're in a modern world. It's not like, oh, that's not in my job description. It's more like, okay, what do I need to get done, and I'm gonna get it done. So my thing is like, you're still gonna get paid for your job. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I like people who take initiative, and I really appreciate my team members for that, because I tell people, it's like, don't wait till the trash is full for you to take the trash out, or don't wait for the trash to be full for you to tell me, yo, get the janitor to get the trash. And it's just like, it's just stuff we could do. You know what I mean? If it's a no-brainer. So I have a team of 8 by this summer. I will have a team of 8 by this summer, and you know, we're growing little by little. We plan on opening a cafe and a roasting room with our Kickstarter campaign, so that'll probably add a few more people on top of that as well, which will probably open around the fall, more or less.
Where would the cafe be?
It'll be in the Bronx, like literally, like down the block right here. Yeah, like literally down the block. Could flip the camera like right there. Yeah. So it will be in the Bronx. I would say for me, it's one of those things where me building a cafe and a roasting room right down the block from where I'm at right now, and in my borough where I was raised, it's important. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the times people come from a certain place and they just might feel like, oh no, I gotta get out of here. Like I gotta go somewhere else. I gotta get out of here. And it's like, how about we flip the script, and instead of leaving, we started building where we're at and where we're from, and we started catering to our people instead of going somewhere else and catering to other communities and other kinds of people. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the mentality behind the cafe and the roasting space. And I'm really excited for it. Yeah,
that's awesome, because you have the opportunity to like give back in the sense to like your roots, right? Like in DR, but then also like you are pretty much raised your whole life, and like that's your home there, kind of. I would assume.
Right. Exactly.
So you're able to like employ people there too. That's awesome. How's like your biggest like selling point? Like, 1, do you sell in DR? And 2, for like average consumer, for me, like, do you sell more online through social media, like on website, social media, in person, farmers market? Like, what is your kind of like bread and butter, I guess?
It's interesting because at some point the bread and butter was farmers markets. Then we've been growing our social presence, so then it became online e-commerce. Yeah. So then it's kind of like they're like there, but like online has been picking up because I guess our online presence has really been building up, and a lot of people who are not constrained to New York. Like, we're not constrained to New York. Like, if you were a coffee shop selling these, you're constrained to New York. But we sell bags of coffee and things like that. So people from California and Wisconsin and Arizona, you know, can just order a bag of coffee and we'll mail it to you. So I think that's why we have a good online presence, because you can always get coffee beans or ground coffee or Keurig pods from us, and we'll just mail it to you. You know what I mean? So like, we're local and present in the community here, but we can also be present in your home wherever you're at. So unless it's with the United States, including Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and all these things, you know? Yeah. So, yeah.
So right now, do you provide to, I mean, you're hoping to open a cafe, but do you provide to businesses as well? Like, are you,
Yeah. Right now we supply 3 cafes. It's about to be 4. So we also supply coffee beans to other coffee shops.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. We supply the local community. I think people have been getting to know about us for a little while. Now they're like, yo, like we want to source your beans and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We also sell to like local supermarkets. So we sell the bags.
Okay.
The bag beans to them. And
what I'm picturing is like the Dominican brand it's like what is it? Montaña.
You thinking about Santo Domingo, right? The coffee brand?
Well, Santo Domingo, and then there's one other that they sell in Jarabacoa, and it's really good.
Monte Alto.
What is it?
Monte Alto.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I picture. Like when I'm picturing like selling to consumer or selling to another store. So I mean, it's like you're like diversifying, like your avenues, which is great. But you don't sell like within. You're mostly exporting from DR Colombia here instead of selling there at all. Like, is it possible? I think it's even possible to sell there.
It's possible. It's possible. It's just a very narrow market because a lot of big brands own most of the market. They own the market share. But long term, my goal is to actually bring the brand to the Dominican Republic and build there and actually provide people with specialty coffee. You know what I mean? I think specialty coffee itself in the Dominican Republic is growing. Right now, I think people are in the educational phase. I mean, even here, people are in the educational phase of what specialty coffee is. And then once you know what it is, and now that you've tried it, now you have an opportunity to take it into your own hands and actually brew it and buy it and make that your new type of coffee.
Once you have that, it's like that I can't go back, right? Like getting coffee from like good coffee, you don't want to get from like 7-Eleven. So it's kind of like you can plant that there. I think that's and here too, because like you said, I feel like a lot of people, like you said in the beginning, you didn't know what good coffee was until you had the opportunity to try it.
Right.
So it's interesting. Yeah. That's awesome. Can you tell us like a little bit more about your Kickstarter and like cafe, but what other things are you trying to do? And where are you trying to grow the business right now?
I would say for the Kickstarter, the main goal is to get the funds to actually open it up and build it. You know what I mean? That when it comes to building a roasting space and a cafe, things can get pretty expensive. Just like the roaster alone cost about 26, and that's a small one. You know what I mean? It's like 26,000 for a small roaster. Espresso machines are pretty expensive. But the goal is to open up this cafe and roasting space and just kind of provide a center of opportunities for people. You know what I mean? Like I wish I had a space when I began that was super friendly in terms of me coming in and me learning about coffee and just kind of immersing myself in the culture. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I want to bring people from the community who are coffee professionals and baristas, give them a home to work and develop themselves professionally as a career or as a hobby, whatever you want to do. But just educate yourself in the profession of coffee, in the world of coffee. And then you decide what you want to do with that. You know what I mean? You want to start your own business. You want to just build a career. You want to just do it for fun because you enjoy coffee. That's the idea. So the idea is to open up this coffee shop and roasting space, have it there for the community while because we host operations, we roast coffee, we brew coffee, and it's like you could just immerse yourself into this, while we're doing it. We're already doing it. We just want to make it public and open so people just pull up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just pull up, you know what I mean? And then from there, it's that sense of providing opportunities, and then just opening up another one somewhere else, building it up and just expanding and just growing from there. You know what I mean? I think it's like one of the biggest pivotal steps for us to like take it to the next level.
Right. That's really cool. Are you like where you are right now? And guys, I put the Kickstarter in the link in the chat. So if you guys want to check it out, it's very nicely presented there. You guys did a great job on the video and everything. Kind of explaining the history, the background. Like you said, the marketing is really important too. So people can see like what you're doing, what your plan is. So if you guys want to check that out, the best way would be at that link. Do you have plans to like expand to other? I know you said you're going to expand to a new farm in DR, in San Jose. But do you plan to like expand to other countries, or is your main goal like let me like cultivate more farms within the countries that I'm already like kind of established?
Yeah, I definitely want to partner up with farms in Africa. You know what I mean? I would say Ethiopian coffees are pretty known in the market because that's kind of where coffee came from. Or Rwandan coffees too.
Yeah.
Kenyan coffees are pretty famous. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
kind of want to build connections out there. It's just very tough when you're a small guy or a small company, you know, trying to make these big moves. So definitely trying to expand. I would say my main goal is to kind of build relationships with the countries I'm already in and foster it further. And then after that, kind of like go out and do more. Yeah. So I think, you know, one step at a time. But at some point, I definitely want to get some coffees from the motherland of Africa.
I actually have a connection to Ethiopian coffee, so we can chat after this.
Let me know.
Yeah, we'll talk. But what, like, to you, like, I have never had Colombian coffee, Brazilian coffee. I am like Dominican coffee. Is there a big difference, like, for people listening, like, if they've only had Dominican coffee? Is there a noticeable difference, or is it just like, okay, coffee from there anywhere is much better than what we are making?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in all the coffees because there's different varietals. They're grown at different elevations. Different farms give their beans different treatments, different care. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would say even coffees from different farms in the same country are different. So it's typically people ask me, what's your opinion on Colombian coffee? And it's like, which farm? You know what I mean? It's like people tell me how good is Dominican coffee? And I'm like, from which farm? You know what I mean? Sometimes people ask me these questions and it's just like, it's subjective to every farm. You know what I mean? It's just like, what's your experience in college? Your experience might be different than mine. You know what I mean? Everybody's experience is different. So it's one of those things where it's subjective. But they're all different, you know what I mean? But I would say if you're adding milk and sugar, you just might not really notice it because the core difference is you're really gonna find it in the black coffee. It's like drinking a cocktail, you know what I mean? You could drink the raw rum or bourbon opposed to you adding ginger ale and ice and diluted all these things. You know?
Right. And something in DR is funny because, like, I had never really drank coffee before I went there, and then, like, they're like, here, have some coffee, small cup. I'm like, that's not enough. But the sugar, I'm like, dude, the sugar that they put in that coffee is like, it's full sugar. So I'm like, you guys have good coffee. Just like, we don't need all that sugar in there. Joey, you are meeting with a legal and tax specialist on Saturday to ask us what, can you go crazy with questions? Hector, can he ask you some questions about?
Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah.
All right, go for it, Joey. How hard was it for you? Like, did you go into DR being like, I know you said, like, I pretty much just showed up to a farm, right? And a lot of this is like, especially with Dominicans, and I'm only equating it to that because I've never been to Colombia or Brazil, but it's a very like relationship oriented, like more so than here where it's just like, okay, business to business. Was it hard for you to kind of like get them to trust you and like form that relationship? Like, was it hard on that sense? And then was it hard on the kind of like taxes and business side? Because I know sometimes in DR things are very like red tape and slowed down.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I would say I think as a new kid on the block, it's hard all the time.
Right.
Because nobody knows you, nobody can trust you. Like you just popped out of a hole in a wall. Like you just like, what's up? What up, fam? You know what I mean? So the farms, I definitely, you know, do some pre-planning with them and let them know I'm coming and we plan out. So who's gonna pick me up, where I'm staying. We do all the logistics, but to just be like, I'm with it. What's up? I'm pulling up. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? Not everybody does that. A lot of people be like, oh, you know, let's do this and do that, but not everybody pulls the trigger. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's always interesting being the new kid on the block, and then at some point, you know, you start getting news features and you get known, and then it's like, oh, this kid is actually going somewhere. Maybe we should work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like he's serious about this, and it's an established thing. That makes sense. Joey's asking that he's starting a coffee company in Constanza to sell direct to consumer in U.S. or Europe. He's here on a tourist visa, which he can't work or start a business. So he wants to know if there's business visas or special visas for those creating economic incentives. Do you have experience with that? Did you have that issue?
I don't have it. I don't have any experience with that, but I think it depends if it's here or DR, because I know the differences.
I think he's in Constanza.
with a visa over there.
Joey, can you clarify? Are you looking for a Dominican visa or a U.S. visa? It's a whole answer. But yeah, I know we talk about this a lot on my channel too, is like work-wise, if you're in the country, it's like you need a certain visa to work. And I don't know if you had run into any of that with like, or maybe you have like dual citizenship, but I know it can be.
I was born there. So for me, it's like,
okay.
no problem.
Yeah, so you are dual. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, Joey, just let me know if you are talking about if you need a business visa for DR or business visa for US. And then
I don't really have experiences with those things, but I can see what it is. You know what I mean? Typically, it's good to work with businesses that already have a lot of the logistical things figured out. So for you at that point, it's like, oh, I want to sell coffee in Europe. Oh, we already have the license to export to Europe. Where do you want me to drop it off?
Right.
It's going to cost you this much, though. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's all about, I'm doing that.
Yeah. I'm an American in Cabarete, San Domingo, overstaying my... You're just typing that, huh, Joey? I need at least residency in U.S. in order to export creative business here. So you're American, you're in DR, okay, on a tourista, and you need, that's a fantastic point, yeah. So
I think it depends, because before you take the leap of faith, it's like, do you have somebody to buy this coffee? Like before the residency stuff, right? Like it's that sense of like, do you have the demand? You know what I mean? Right. Like for me, I didn't have it in the beginning, so I never went crazy into it, right? And it was like, how do you build a platform for yourself to be successful? How do you build a platform where people know your coffee and know you, Joey, and all these things? Right. And for me, like I've been doing this for 2 years, so like by now, some people know me. Some people get what I'm trying to do, but I still have a whole lot of people to make aware that I exist and that we exist. So it's one of those things. Before you start exporting coffee, is like, where are you going to put it? How are you going to move it? What are the logistics? Where are you going to store it? Who are you going to sell it to? What's your price point? What's your cost? What's your margin? It's just so many things. What's your brand? Who's your demographic? Right. Who's your target audience? It's just so many things to figure out before you get to like, let me export some beats. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a lot of homework before that. So I would recommend definitely start building out the foundation of it, and then you can just start building up all these other things.
Yeah, and residency, Joey, can be like, it can be difficult because like I was saying with the red tape, like sometimes it's slow to get residency because you always need just like one more form or one more paper or whatever. But I think there's other ways to go about getting residency in DR and like really determining if you do need it. Okay. Yes, I have wholesale contracts to fulfill in US, UK, and Ireland. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Well, I would say you got to figure out if you produce it in DR, does the logistical cost to get it to US, UK, and Ireland really make a difference? Because at the same time, you could just bring it raw to the country, produce it there, and then package it and distribute it, and see if it makes a difference. It really depends. Yeah. It really depends how you tackle it.
Yeah, I guess that's a tough one too. And I mean, throwing like UK and Ireland, that's probably a whole nother, because where are you selling? Is it just US or,
I just do US. I could ship you worldwide, but I just do US. Like I'm big on not doing one thing and becoming good at one thing before I get into others. So my mentality is to dominate the local coffee game in New York, the Bronx, New York State, and then venture out into other things in other places, and then go from there.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
That's kind of my mentality. Like it's like eat what you can chew, and then your plate gets bigger little by little when you grow up. You know what I mean? So it's kind of so my mentality behind
that. That definitely makes sense. So this is like just a question for me that I was wondering, because how do you make your coffee? Because I see you make it a certain way. So like, what's acceptable for you when you're like providing coffee? Because I see that you use well, you can tell us how do you make your coffee? Like, what's the best way if we were going to buy a bag of yours? How will it taste the best?
I mean, it depends on your preference, but it depends on your preference. Everybody has everybody's taste buds are different. I drink my coffee black. I enjoy drinking coffee. I enjoy drinking the original coffee, the original sense, not the remixed milk and sugar and stuff. I just drink it black.
Right.
And I make coffee black again, right? So it's one of those things where I just drink coffee black, and I enjoy it like that. I like to brew the mocha pot, which is the greca, and when I typically brew the greca, I preheat the water. I don't fill it past the valve on the bottom. I put just enough coffee on the brew basket. I don't press it. I just let it sit. Then I let it brew, let it shoot up. You could just go on my Instagram. You'll see the nice little videos of my greca. And I just enjoy black. I just put it into my little cup and I just sit there and enjoy it. I also enjoy V60. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I have my ring light, so you can't really see, but there he is.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Wow, that looks good. That looks good. I did that. I did that. Yeah.
That looks really good. Yeah. Cafecito de media tarde. Muy bien. I'm gonna have to buy some, and I'll make some. I'll give my review. Not that I know anything about coffee, but I'm sure I'll like it. So, is there anything else that well, Joey, feel free if you have other questions. But is there anything else that's that you want to either share about your business, what makes you different, or anything about what you've kind of learned by your trips going to source in DR? Before I get into how people can support you?
I would say we keep sustainability at the forefront of what we do. You know what I mean? I think it's all about being sustainable, being transparent, and just being honest with people. I think it's one of those things where I think people lost a lot of faith in many corporations because they felt like there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that they didn't know. And that companies were really being transparent. So our goal is to just be sustainable, eco-friendly, transparent, honest about what we do, and just honest, just literally being this is what we do, this is how we do it. And you know what I mean? The point of the roasting space is for people to walk in and see a glass wall, and then you could just see everything that's going on. And it's just that's literally you guys doing operations. This is literally what we're doing. So it's one of those things where I sometimes tell people I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm the best at what I do. You know what I mean? I just know that I do the best that I can do, and I do the best that I can do. I try to learn as much as possible. I educate myself, and I tend to do a good job at it. And that's pretty much what makes us different. I'm just really passionate and have high hopes for the future and what we're gonna bring.
Something that I just want to point out really quickly is for any of you listening, maybe me, and I just had a conversation with my friend that I was with, and she was how I want to be more eco-friendly, right? Mm-hmm. And support brands that are more eco-friendly, but also more ethical. And I feel people are, like you said, being more, just getting more aware of that. But also it's how can you can only trust, right, what the company is going to tell you, right? So if there's a very big company that starts with an N, they're going to tell you, they're going to, like you were saying before, they're going to go to a farm, right? And they're going to make some cool videos of people harvesting the coffee and stuff. But how can I trust, right? A big corporation is authentically not going just for a press tour, but they're not exploiting kids, right? Or exploiting the workers. So something that I is you as the CEO are going to these farms, right? And you're you get the chance to be okay, what are the working conditions, right? You have the opportunity to kind of, as your own business, say I'm not going to support that farm, but this one I will. Does that make sense? And are you seeing it like that? You have the chance to really decide what works best for you. Yeah.
I'm somebody's walked in.
No, you're good. We're rocking.
So I would say that's pretty much the difference. You know what I mean? It's that sense of responsibility and doing your due diligence behind it. So I know the brand you're talking about, but It's just it's one of those things where I just feel like I do things that I feel are right. Like I think that right. Like I think that I do things that I feel are right, and it's just my personal my personal ethics, right? But the thing that you're talking about is called ethical consumerism. You know what I mean? Where like you want to vote with your dollars. Like you have a certain amount of money in your pocket, and you don't have time to go protest for 6 hours because you got to go to work or you got to take care of your kids. But you could vote. You could vote and protest with the money, right? Because you could ethically consume differently and spend money in and spend it in brands that are doing the due diligence for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it for me. That's one of my favorite terms. Yeah.
I was gonna show. Let's see. Here we go, guys. Just so we know that he's telling the truth. This is how it's been there. Sourcing really cool. So we might have to do something with like a day in the life of you and like kind of what you do behind the scenes. That would be awesome. But I put, let's see, I have the Kickstarter. I just pasted it again. If you guys are interested, feel free. Please support them. Like I'm all about supporting small businesses, and I'll put the website in the video when it uploads, so you guys can support. You can order your coffee, and it will be shipped to you, right?
Facts.
So I'm gonna get a bag. Hopefully, you guys will too. And if you have any questions, like once this is up, watching later, I know I didn't promote this at all. So any of you watching this later, feel free to comment your questions below. I'll get with Hector and I'll get them answered for you. But yeah, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on, and we've been trying to meet up, and I'm so glad because it's super interesting to me. And yeah, I appreciate you just like telling us a little bit more about what you do.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. We're gonna link up in the day in the life.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, feel free to comment your questions below. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Okay. And